We're gonna, for the seniors, yeah.
The following is the agenda for the regular Borough Council meeting in the Borough of Pompton Lakes, Mayor and Council, Municipal Corporation, and the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7 p.m. on February 25th, 2026 in the Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes. Consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, the meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the Borough's Municipal Code and bylaws.
Please stand for a flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bless this mayor and council as they deliberate on the best of Pompton Lakes. In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, mailed to all, have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here?
Council President Kent is excused.
Excused, yes.
Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman Hinton.
I'm here. It's a little lonely on this end, but I'm here.
Sorry, Randy.
Councilman Sanchez.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Mark Cinerero and our Borough Administrator Michael Corral. And
Okay.
Police Chief Anthony Rodriguez.
Thank you. On an update, I just want to update the public that the deal with Oakland and picking up their garbage has been officially signed by both sides. So we're moving forward with that deal. This will be something that's going to benefit both communities greatly in monetary value. Oakland will be saving some money on their end because they used a private contractor, and we'll be picking up a rather large salary to do the work. We're also picking up some new employees, some new garbage trucks. This is a major undertaking and a major. I have to thank all the administrators on both sides that spent a lot of time, this council, who spent a lot of time on doing it. It is a good deal for Pompton Lakes, you know. Any extra dollar or money we can bring into this community from outside is a plus, especially in these tough financial times. So I appreciate all the hard work by everybody, and thanks. And, you know, there's going to be bumps in the road. Let's not hide the fact that there's not going to be some bumps as we move forward with this, but I think it's going to be a good deal when we're all said and done. That is my update. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
Motion.
Councilman
Second.
Bennon, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please.
Ken Horner, Mountainside Drive. So I took your advice, Mayor. I reached out to Passaic County Commission regarding Hamburg Turnpike in Colfax, where they had one lane not plowable, which caused significant problems in that intersection. Once I emailed the county, the next morning, the trucks were there, cleared all the snow, 2 lanes, everything was perfect. And same for Cannonball Road too, down where we live by the Highlands. For some reason, they don't seem to want to plow or salt beyond, I think the street's called DuPont Place.
Yeah, on the right there, yeah.
Once they hit DuPont Place, they make the turn and continue onward. And again, sent another email out. I took photos, pictures. Next day, salt truck was there, and they actually plowed and took care of all the ice on the road. So upon your suggestion, everything worked out great.
Good.
And thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Councilman Bennon.
Second.
Councilman Santers, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Okay, thank you for those, that it got done. Look, the county is working with us here. They're not our enemies here. We want to work with them. They want to work with us. Sometimes they miss things, and, you know, you have to make them put them on notice, and they will come back and do it. You know, you bring up a point that I know a lot of, especially the newer residents, don't understand. We have quite a few county roads here in Pompton Lakes for a small town. You know, Ramapo Avenue, Lakeside, part of Colfax, Wanacue Avenue, Ringwood Avenue. Those roads are all done by the county for plowing. So, and I know those are the major roads that a lot of people are driving on. And you know, the county has the whole county to do, so it takes time for them to get to those roads. So we help where we can, our town employees to get on it. But when those roads don't look like the interior roads, that's because they're county roads. So just keep in mind that we do have quite a few county roads in town. But I'm glad it all got worked out, so that's great to hear. Okay. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes, February 11th, 2026. Closed session meeting minutes, February 11th, 2026.
Motion.
Councilman Begg.
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Payment of bills and wires as listed below. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Bennett,
Second.
Councilman Santers, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Anybody need something pulled? No? Okay, Liz.
Whereas the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 26-120 through 26-138.
Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman, who was that down there? Bennett? Oh, Santers? Councilman Santers, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Ordinances, whenever we're ready. For second reading.
Introduction, bond ordinance appropriating $103,130 and authorizing issuance of $97,973 bonds or notes of the borough for the acquisition of various equipment by the Borough of Pompton Lakes and the County of Passaic.
Anything you want to say on that, Mike?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this ordinance 26-06 is for the purchase of the 32 dumpsters and the 1 utility pickup truck for the Department of Public Works for the Borough of Oakland Shared Service Agreement. Again, the down payment and following debt payments are funded by the Borough of Oakland, by the fee that we are charging the Borough of Oakland, rather. So again, this is the introduction. The final adoption will be scheduled for March 11th, at which point we will be able to purchase the equipment and work towards implementation. Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve ordinance 2606 for introduction.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Bennett, Councilman Begg, roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Hinton?
Yes.
Councilman Santers?
Yes.
Ordinance
You wanna take the next one?
26-07.
Sure.
An ordinance amending chapter 190, article 14A, block 100, lot 8 redevelopment plan.
Explanation from the attorney?
Sure. So this has to do with the old A&P site, which is now, I guess, the Lidl site, that shopping center. That shopping center was identified as an overlay zone for the potential affordable housing. Since the third round was started, the property was subject to redevelopment. So rather than doing a zoning ordinance as we did with regard to the Montclair Avenue property, we're able to amend it by way of a redevelopment amendment to include that as a permitted use. The affordable housing units, if ever pursued, would be pursued as a second floor and third floor addition to the shopping center should they proceed.
And I just want the public to understand, we're not saying that this is happening. This is a place that we have to identify as somewhere that could be put in place for COA obligation for the state. There's no talks and plans of doing any of this right at this moment. Some people might take that as, oh, that means we're building something there. We are not. Okay. Motion to approve ordinance 2607
Well,
for
just a
introduction.
question.
Sure.
But that does open it up for second story, third story, fourth story? How high are we talking?
Well, it would fit within our we have a 5-story, but they could if they wanted to, but it's individual pieces too.
It's up to a 2-story apartment on top of the
All the
existing
stories.
structure. Yes.
The whole
Is it the
shop?
whole comp? No, it's not the whole complex.
No, it would be.
We spoke with each owner?
No, but this is just the zoning.
The zoning, right.
Yeah, we're not contacted by them saying that this is something that they want to pursue.
Right. Okay.
This is just a site that we are designating as a potential way to satisfy our affordable housing obligation.
And we identified numerous sites in town that because we have to get to the numbers for COA obligation, that will never.
And this has been in the third and the fourth round affordable housing plan, so this is nothing new. All it is now, because of the way that they did the fourth round regulations, they require that we put into place the ordinances that implement the zoning option by March 15th. So for us to do that, we have to introduce this tonight and then adopt it at the next council meeting.
Okay.
So it still leaves the opportunity in the future that we could put anywhere up to 5 stories all the way across all those stores.
All we're doing right now is the zoning to make that happen, but then they would have to present and do the whole process.
Correct, but we're leaving by passing this, we're opening up the opportunity that could be done.
Opportunity's always there. We're just using it for our COA obligation. If they wanted to do that tomorrow and present that, they could. To the boards, they'd have to ask for, variances and numerous things, but they could always ask to do it.
But if we don't pass this, then they can't do it.
No.
And if you don't do it, you're going to be subject to builder remedy lawsuits and lose your immunity from being sued by other developers that want to develop high-density housing anywhere in the township. So this is something that I strongly encourage the governing body to adopt. This is something that is continuing the road that you have been on and have approved from the third round through the fourth round. That predates my tenure as your attorney.
So a builder's remedy, I don't know if you know what that is. The builder's remedy means
Yeah, I didn't say
we
that.
don't identify the site. They could then come in, because we didn't put it in our COA obligation, and just build whatever they want there. No one could tell them what to do. And in other towns, that's happening already. They found some properties that weren't identified, and they take over those sites and do what they want, as long as they fit within the zoning that's in place already.
So if they were to go through with that and put 5 stories there, there's enough parking, there's enough.
Well, those are all things that would have to be worked out.
Those are all factors that have to be accommodated for. This isn't an absolute right to do development of any particular sort. This permits, hold on one second, let me pull out the ordinance. Up to 140 units on that site as a max. In order to get there, you end up having to satisfy RSIS parking standards, which on an average would be 1.5 parking spaces per unit. So the parking space,
So you're talking 225 parking spaces.
More.
yeah, well, it's gonna be 140 plus half of that, so it's a 70, that's, 210,
Okay.
right? So, there's not room for 210 parking spaces now, so that would be a governor on a restriction on the number of units that you could put there. So,
we've identified numerous properties in town, because we're a small town, you have to identify open space where this can happen. And since we're a small town, it's very hard to identify areas, but we do have to identify, because if we don't identify, then if a builder comes in and finds anything available, they don't have to come to us anymore. They can do whatever they want. And that becomes a real challenge, and a lot of towns have had some real issues with builders' remedy lawsuits.
That's why that's the attorney's recommendation that we do pass this.
right, because the entire process was pursued to provide immunity to the municipality so that builders can't come in and sue the township to permit them to put high-density housing on any property that they have in the township. So the thought is, and there's no, and I don't know exactly what was done before I came here.
Right.
There's no silver bullet to avoid your affordable housing mandate, right? This stuff has been litigated since the 1970s. It's been lost every round since in the 1970s. There were a group of cases called Mount Laurel 2, a group of cases called Mount Laurel 1 and 2, and then even in the third round, there are cases that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. If you remember, Governor Christie didn't staff the Council on Affordable Housing. Governor Murphy came in, he abolished the Council on Affordable Housing. The legislature came in and in their ultimate wisdom mandated this process to be all done by the end, by March 15 now, but with other interim milestones that you satisfied with your former attorneys last year. You ended up having to have your plan adopted by June 30th. Well, this wasn't that plan that was adopted, that this board voted in support of on June 30th. And you ended up having to accept the prospective need number by, I think it was January 31st of last year. So that's what started putting into motion all of this. We are now in our final stages. We did, and we are endorsing tonight, or you actually did, endorse a modification to the housing element fair share plan, which made certain adjustments, like increasing the inclusionary rate. That's the number of affordable units in a housing development, so that we come, and that was a negotiated resolution with Fair Share Housing to come up with a plan that they accepted. And these are the final stages now to put into place the zoning necessary for us to achieve our immunity. Okay, so that's what this one was. And clearly through, I got sidetracked a moment ago, but since a builder could come in and sue you to build on any property that he has, the conventional wisdom is, well, maybe since we know that we're going to lose that battle, it's always best for us to try to pick the place that does the least amount of damage to our community with regard to traffic, possibly with regard to, and I'm not sure if Pompton Lakes is big enough where there's competing schools, but you don't want to overload smaller schools. So some towns, kind of move the housing development so they spread out what they think the impact of the children is going to be. They certainly spread things out to consider the community standards, the type of neighborhood around the sites, because you don't necessarily, if you're around single-family homes, if you could avoid taller structures there, and you move it to areas where maybe it could act as a transitional buffer between higher intensity industrial and neighborhoods. So obviously all these sites were selected through your planner to minimize the impact, and it was the wisdom of this governing body that these are in fact the best sites for us. And that's what this is here tonight.
And this is mandated by the state, so this is something we have to do. If we don't do it, we find ourselves in jeopardy.
True, and if you end up going to court, and if someone is pursuing a builder's remedy lawsuit, what they're going to do is they're going to look for every fine-tooth flaw that is in your affordable housing plan, and they may end up convincing the court that you have an unsatisfied obligation that's even for more units than what we agreed to provide. So you're talking about possibly expanding the number of units you have to provide for throughout the town, taller structures, higher density than what you are settling for. And in this particular case, I can tell you that certainly from my review, the densities that we're looking at are reasonable compared to what they could be. They're not reasonable compared to what you probably all would like, but what you're doing here is you have a gun to your head, and you have to provide something, so it's best to capitulate to what you know you can live with, even begrudgingly, because the alternative is less flattering.
So statewide, most all towns are going through this.
Every time.
Every town except towns that are receiving urban aid. So, yeah, I mean, there's 560.
Okay, Bobby.
But is it safe to say that we are now meeting our commitment and no additional properties are going to be flagged to be included?
In this round, yes.
In this round only.
But so this is a 10-year round. This lasts for 10 years, and then they start the whole process again. And if they change our numbers again, which they do every round, then 10 years from now, we'll be looking for more space to say we can build on. It reaches a point, and I asked that question last night to our planner, what happens when you reach density max and you can no longer provide space? There are formulas that are put in place by the state to figure that out, but it's very complicated, she said, and not a lot of towns are able to do it. But, we're a small little 3-mile town. You take a town like a Patterson, this could be, thousands of units if you don't do it the right way.
Now, do we foresee, I'm assuming we're not gonna wait for the last minute, if in 10 years they tell us they're gonna increase our commitment. Do we have any properties now that are being looked at for long-term, assuming if it does happen, hopefully not? So that way there's no surprises. I'm not sure if there's already properties that are being considered just for the plan.
So our commitment
If it does happen.
when we sign off on this obligation, we're done for 10 years. They can't change that. That's the number. 10 years from now, who knows what they'll be asking for? I can't tell you. But right now, our obligation will be filled when we sign off on this. We know we have a number, we reach that number through our planners and through all the meetings we've had. We had a special meeting last night, for example, with the planning board, because they have to approve this also, and they approved it. So that will put our obligation in, so we would be done at this moment.
And there's no benefit to earmarking property today for affordable housing obligations that you think might come to fruition in 2035. It's kind of hard to articulate why, but I'll certainly try if that's what your question was. I think it was, right, Councilman?
Yeah, my concern was, of course, this property was a little bit of a surprise to hear that, it's going to be included. So, in 10 years, who knows what will happen. So, yes, it's more, are we already, visiting or not at least discussing properties that could potentially be included now, or something that we just need to set it off to the side? Because we don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, and if it does, I'm assuming we're going to have to revisit it.
Well, there's another ordinance on this evening that is providing for some housing to address unmet needs. So in one sense of the word, we're doing that to a certain extent. But to earmark property to be used for housing in a subsequent round that we're nowhere near at this point in time only assures that that property will be used for housing at that point in time. I know that as a community, you all want to be fair and provide affordable housing, and it's probably the impact of the market rate units that have to come along with it that actually create the hardship on over congestion. But if you are earmarking property for 2035, that's not something that's going to reduce your obligation to provide additional housing then. It's actually probably more likely to set a floor and only increase what your obligations are in the future. So I certainly wouldn't advise that. And the reason why that is a truthful statement is because, and I'm sure everyone here has heard of the terminology of a vacant land adjustment, which is a tool that the planners utilize to, even after the state sets what your prospective need is, you have a way to offset that need. And the borough, in fact, did do it. They made an adjustment arguing that while you may feel that this community should have 500 affordable units, we don't have vacant land that's substantial enough to accommodate it. And as a consequence, you used a vacant land adjustment and knocked that number down. But even with that reduced number, we were obligated to provide certain properties, to provide opportunities for realistic development of affordable housing. And this property was identified, again, probably 6 years ago.
At least,
Yeah, if not more, as that site. And we are just now implementing the zoning necessary to accommodate that.
And by the way, the state sets the number. We don't have any say on the number setting. We can fight it and we reduce it a little bit, but at the end of the day, the state comes up with the number for every community in New Jersey. Some communities are way past the number that they're even going to get to. Some communities fight, and I think we only lowered it a couple of units. It wasn't like we lowered it hundreds of units. We lowered it a couple of units, but every unit helps that we lower it to. So that's why we fight it. We have a great planner, San, who's been on top of it. She's presented to this board. She presented last night to the planning board. So this is what it's about. We have to move this forward, or we'll find ourselves in a hole. That's what it's about.
Okay. So the business owners were already aware 6 years ago that they were possibly gonna be included?
There was a conversation with, because they have to say yes, they could say no, and then we'd have to go look somewhere else. So we approached them last time, and we talked about it, and then at the last moment, we pulled out of that site, because we found, I think it was the Tilcon site we were gonna use at that time. So we used the Tilcon site. Now that the Tilcon site's used, we can't use that, we have to come up with another one, so we went back to revisit this building.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion to approve ordinance.
No problem.
2607. Motion. For introduction. Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Santers, or, roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Hinton?
My first inclination is to vote no, but through the explanation from the attorney and from the mayor, my vote is yes.
Councilman Sanders?
Yes.
Okay, next.
Okay, so now we're up to 08. An ordinance amending chapter 190, article 15, affordable housing, 190, article 17, affordable housing development fees to address the township's affordable housing obligations under the amended Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls.
Go ahead, continue.
So this ordinance is mandated by the same rules and regulations that were enacted for the fourth round. Each round has a different set of rules. The rules aren't dramatically different. Most of them are somewhat minor adjustments. We were provided a model ordinance from the DCA, and there were some things in that ordinance which didn't apply to Pompton Lakes, and they weren't part of our prior affordable housing ordinance. And what we're doing here is amending our prior ordinance. Our planner put this together. Obviously, I reviewed it. And you'll see, just like every other ordinance, the bold language is enacting new language. The struck out language is removing language that was redacted. This is simply to comply with regulations that were mandated by our legislature and the DCA, and this complies with that. This applies to various portions of our affordable housing ordinance, which discusses things like the set-aside ordinance, which imposes obligations for developers that will develop unexpected housing development in the town. If they secure a use variance, for example, then depending on the size of such a project, they would have an affordable housing component to it. Development fees, which people that do additions to their houses or build new single-family homes or commercial development for that fact, have to make a contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and marketing plan, things along those lines. Again, this is an ordinance that is necessary for us to maintain our immunity, and we have to implement it, and everything that's in this has been a provision that's been mandated by the state or a state agency.
And this is just to bring our old appliance back up to compliance, right?
That's all it is.
That's all.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing, it's just
Yeah.
changing.
We're not creating any new obligations. All we're doing is setting forth the procedures, essentially.
Okay, any questions on this one?
Is this the ordinance that we just recently got, just the other day, Michael?
That is correct, yes.
This was 36 pages that
Yes.
I spent 2 hours.
Yes.
First 3 pages, I fell asleep and I had to wake up and start over again.
This stuff is very complicated, trust me.
Yes, it was. And I just had a question on who's the MHL, the Municipal Housing Liaison?
From the county, it's Michael that does it for us.
Oh, that's for us? Okay. That was another question I had. All right, it's just curious. Yeah, it was a little on the boring read.
Oh, it's, okay.
I have to give our attorney a lot of credit for reading through that and understanding it, because
It would have been a lot easier for all of us if we just copied the
Old one.
Well, yeah, that would be the easiest,
It's the way to
right?
go.
But even the model charge, but, I had to kind of go through this, and Sam did a whole lot of work on this. And this is something that really falls within her purview, her expertise. So I certainly wasn't in a position to tell her, let's just use the model.
right.
So she did a lot of work blending them and making them work together, and it was a job well done.
It was talking about a deed restriction for at least 60 years.
The deed restrictions are 40 and 30 years respectively. If you have a phased in, well, no, it's 30 and 40 years respectively.
This page that I was reading, it said 60 years.
Where can you put?
Oh, it's 36 pages.
Okay.
Hey Randy, just to help you out, you can put it in an AI overview, and it'll just break it down for you and make it short. So you don't have to read all 36. I mean, I went through it too, just to let you know.
All right, motion to approve ordinance 2608 for introduction.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Begg? A roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Hinton?
Yeah, after all that reading, yes.
Councilman Santos?
Yes.
And the next one is for final adoption.
Correct.
Ordinance 26-05, second reading has been advertised. An ordinance amending Chapter 190, Article 4 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes to address the borough's affordable housing obligations under Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Control.
Just that's the final say on
Okay.
it, right?
So this is a zoning ordinance. This is related. This ordinance has been an ordinance. This property owner was interested in an overlay zone. This is where I think it's Prestige Auto.
This is the Montclair site.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, I guess this is positioned between the quarry and some residential property owners. So San felt that this was good planning. We're talking about providing them some density here with an inclusionary rate of 20% across the board, regardless whether or not it's a for sale unit or a rental unit.
Which is an increase from our initial last round was 10%, so we've been increased it to 20%. Again, this is just a place we've identified to maybe at some time build on, not us, the owner. So that's all this is. This is the second reading. We've already kind of talked about this one, but just reminding everybody because we have to follow.
Correct. And you put in all sorts of reasonable zoning requirements, such as setbacks, et cetera, to protect the community.
Motion to open the meeting for public comment on ordinance 2605.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, anyone from the public like to address this ordinance? Seeing no one, motion to close the public session. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good.
Happy New Year. George Popov, 1104 Colfax Avenue. Late this afternoon, I received a notice.
No, this is not an open session. This is just to speak about this ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We did the open session already.
You already
Meeting start at 7 now, since the beginning of the year.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. You'll have another one, right?
Yeah, that was noted, yes, we posted that.
Yes, we'll have another public session.
We'll have another one
Yeah.
later, yep. Okay, so you didn't have anything on this ordinance, okay. Motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 2605.
Motion.
Councilman Santos, Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 2605. Oh, you have a question, Jack?
Yes, I have a few questions. This property is 450 Montclair Ave, correct?
It was broken into two sections, but yes.
Correct. He had built 6 units already on the left side of the property, and he was looking to build 4 or 5-story apartment complex on the right side of the property. That was pretty much knocked down, and he was going to go back to building 6 more industrial units on the right side of the property. how does this ordinance affect that situation?
It doesn't.
Could still possibly
If
build?
he meets all the requirements, like we mentioned before, and he was able to get through all the boards, then yes. But Sam has identified this as an area that we can use in our plan. That doesn't mean that gives him permission to do what he has to do. He still has to go through all the boards and do all the things, and if they don't agree with it, then it doesn't happen. We can't tell him what to do. It's his choice to do what he wants to do.
And this is an overlay zone, which just provides him an additional option for the land. So if he wants to still go forward with the other six industrial units, he certainly can. Again, what San was doing was identifying, in her opinion, as to what the least impactful locations were to accommodate our affordable housing obligation and the unmet need.
And we've voted on this already. We've talked about this already. You were part of it. This is second reading of this.
He's right across the street from where I live. And we were against, and my neighbors were against him building any kind of apartments there. If he wants to build,
But that doesn't stop him from, just because the neighbors are against it, unfortunately, it doesn't stop him from, if he meets all the required criteria of the boards, and the boards approve it, then they approve it. That doesn't, just because neighbors are upset, doesn't stop something.
Are you within 200 feet of this property?
right across the street.
If
He's 450, I'm 443,
Okay, well, if you are within 200 feet of that property,
definitely.
then you have a conflict on this. I didn't realize that you lived there.
So he can't vote or can't vote? What's that?
No, he shouldn't have voted. He shouldn't have even voted on the introduction, but that's not the binding, but this is binding. So if you're within 200 feet, you have a conflict.
Abstain,
Okay. Okay, motion, any other questions?
no.
Okay. Motion to approve ordinance 2605 for final adoption. Motion. Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Sanchez, roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz? Councilman Hinton?
So I'm an
No,
abstain.
he can't vote, he's out.
But he's going to abstain.
Abstain, yes. Oh, is that what we're calling that, abstain?
Or I can vote no.
Recuse.
Recluse, okay.
Recuse. Same effect.
So he doesn't get a vote at all?
Correct.
Okay. Councilman Sanders?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that was the second reading on that one. Next meeting, the other two will be the final reading. And these dates are very important. You miss these dates, you can't go back. They don't give you extra time. Once you go past the date, that's it. And I can tell you, and I'm sure our attorney works in other towns, every town is pushing very hard at this last 2 weeks to get this done. I was talking to our attorney from the board. We had a special meeting last night for our planning board just to make this happen. And our attorney there said there are some towns who are not in this process and they're going to have to screw themselves by not getting it done. So I thank everyone, this is hard stuff, crazy stuff, state mandated, so we have to follow it, we have to do it.
I just want to state something for the record because the vote's over. The councilman properly recused himself, but he expressed a concern about this doesn't permit 5 stories, it's only 3 stories, just so that you know what the zoning was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under my report. Let's start with our second snowstorm. A lot of snow, we're all sick of the snow, I'm sure, right? At the end of the day, I got to give thanks to everyone that was involved, our police, fire, CERT, OEM. Our roads were in good shape. Our roads were in good shape. When I say our roads, I'm meaning our town roads. Enough that News 12 came here, did a story from downtown, basically stating, we're driving around town looking at roads, and Pompton's Lake's roads look good. Okay, now that being said, we always have issues. We did ticket some cars, and I think the chief will probably address that. It was even, I think, a car towed. But for the most part, the residents did what they were supposed to do, and they got their cars off the street, and we were able to get the job done. It makes our job of cleaning the streets so much easier. I have to thank OEM for putting together our conversations throughout the day. Our DPW, of course, they're working long hours to make this happen, okay? They're working 12, 14, 16 hours, and then coming in the next day to do garbage. It's not like we have second crews that separate. The same crews picking up the garbage that are doing the snow, that are doing recycling. Our office staff, everybody's involved in this. This is not a one-man show when we have these big snowstorms. I can tell you that one of the situations I ran into, we have a text group that when things are going on, and I reached out to the text group, I wanted to make sure that Wanacue Avenue was open all the way to the curbs, because it's the parking that becomes the issue. If the parking lot spaces are not open, it makes the street too narrow, and that's where we have issues. Our OEM director reached out to the county that day exactly because we had no cars parked on the street. We had no parking there. The county said they can't get to open it up right now. I sent our crews down, our DPW went, and they opened it up curb to curb, which was great. But then the county, on their own decision, decided to come in late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, with their big trucks, come flying down the street, and they picked up all that ice and brick and threw it onto the sidewalks in front of the businesses. So I got calls from the businesses saying, we're not here to argue, we're not here to make your lives miserable, you did a great job, but how do I remove these blocks of ice now that are sitting in front of my doors to get into my businesses? So again, after some conversation with the DPW and with our administrator, we kind of went out and helped them do that, and we're going to speak to the county to see if they can help us a little bit when they're be aware of those chunks of ice that they're throwing out in front of the buildings. So, it's a cooperative effort in making this happen. I drove the whole town, and by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, most of our roads were blacked out. The weather helped too, it wasn't 0 degrees, but, so we did what we were supposed to do as a community. We got the cars off the street, we let the DPW do what they have to do. All I'm going to say is the only thing I will ask residents, and I know, and I am part of that, if we're outside plowing and you see the truck coming down the street for the second time and they're going curb to curb, don't give them the finger or yell at them because they're going to plow you back in a little bit. They've got to put the snow somewhere, right? The snow has to go somewhere. I'm not happy about it either. I mean, I was out there shoveling when they came back and pushed the snow back into my driveway. It's just what has to be done. But thank you, everyone who was involved in that. I mentioned about the streets. We have a lot of county roads. A member for the audience did the right thing, and I know another member in the back there did it also. When we have an issue with the county road, they listen to the residents. They do. When you send an email, when you make a phone call to the county, they will respond because we can hear all do it. But when they start hearing residents complain, that's when you get action. Same thing when you call Jersey Central or PSE&G. We can call till we're blue in the face. When they start getting 20 or 30 calls from the residents, that's when they make a move. So I always welcome calls from the residents when, especially county roads, that first snowstorm, Hamburg Turnpike was not done properly. You could only drive on one lane. Like the gentleman mentioned, you couldn't get around snowbanks, and they have to address that. They have to fix that. So they did, and I'm glad to hear that. The bad news of the storm is this put us behind on our new fields that we're building down at Joe Grill. We were a month behind. We're probably a little more now. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to push back the baseball season on the new fields till next year, depending on how the snow moves off and melts. But we were right on time, right on schedule. Everything was going great. Unfortunately, the snow hit, so we'll see where we go with that. I know there's been some discussion, and people have come to me and said they've stopped putting in the new walk bridge at Hirschfield Park. After talking to the administrator, they haven't stopped the work. They might have stopped for a couple of days when we had that heavy snow, but they are still moving forward to put that cross bridge in. It's supposed to be in before summer camp starts, which is July 4th. So that bridge should be in place by the beginning of July, and they're on schedule to do that. I have a appointment to mayor to accept resignation of Michael Barbaria as commissioner to the Recreation Committee, and to appoint Lori Taggart as a commissioner to the Recreation Committee to fill an unexpired term until December 31st, 2030, with the advice and consent of council. Can I have a motion? That's a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Aye. Okay, zoning board, there was some movement that we have to vote on. The mayor to appoint with the advice and consent of Borough Council, Gary Close to become alternate 1, terms expired 12/31/27. Lynn Hazelman as alternate number 2 to fill the term till 12/31/26. Richard DeBonte as a member to fill an unexpired term till 12/31/26. And then we do have now, because of some movement of people off that board, 2 openings for the zoning board. If anybody's interested, please reach out. That's the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Begg. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Okay. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Relatively short committee report tonight. Library board last night, or Monday night, was canceled due to this spill. RDA was also canceled last week. The Finance Committee did meet. We discussed line by line certain items that certain departments asked for. Some got what they needed. Most did not get, or some didn't get what they wanted, and that's in order to keep our property taxes, any increases in check. With that, I will go into my breakdown of the dollar of everybody's property tax. Of the dollar that we collect, about 55 cents typically goes to the Board of Ed, 20 cents goes to the county, and 25 cents is spent by the borough. So the 25 cents is used to fund the DPW, clearing of the snow, the police, who we very much appreciate their work, and as well as how we fund the fire department and their apparatus, as well as first aid squad. Lastly, I want to congratulate the robotics team that I am a co-coach of, along with Riverdale Councilman Dave Desai. The Steel Magnolias advanced to states, which is going to occur on March 15th. I'm very appreciative of the work that these young ladies do and the robot they built this year. And that's my report.
It's great news. Thank you. Councilman Big.
First, I'd like to make a motion to approve a carnival license application by the Pompton Lakes Elks, number 1895, to be held at 15 Perrin Ave in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, on the following dates and times. Thursday, August 27th, 2026, from 6 through 10 p.m. Friday, August 28th, 2026, 6 through 10 p.m. Saturday, August 29th, 2026, 4 through 10 p.m. And Sunday, August 30th, 2026, 4 through 10 p.m. No alcoholic beverages to be served at the carnival or on the premises of the licensee during the conduct of the carnival. No license granted under this article may be assigned or transferred by the licensee. Violations and penalties subject to fines. The application is to be reviewed and inspected by the police, fire prevention, first aid, construction official, and the health department.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, okay.
All right, try to be brief.
Yeah, okay.
I attended the EPC meeting. They're well underway for planning this year's townwide river cleanup, which will be held on Sunday, May 3rd. After the EPC meeting, I attended the open space meeting. The Broad Street property is not going to come to fruition, as he wants to redevelop the land himself. I think we've discussed that previously. The Hirschville Park Boathouse is almost complete. The bridge replacement is still on schedule. Once the bridge is completed, they can begin work on the walking paths. The Hirschville Park Basketball Courts project has been completed. Last Thursday, I attended the bid meeting where they presented and approved their budget. As of now, there are 3 spring and summer strolls that have been added to the event calendar. They will take place on Thursday nights from 4 to 8 along Wanacue Ave. Part of Wanacue Ave will be shut down, not the whole street, but part of it, so that you can dine outside. There will be music and other activities also provided for those dates, and they are looking to put a 4th date in there as well. The bid business directory is now live on the website and has been refined. Please visit the site at pomptonlakesbid.org. Residents, again, you can sign up for the monthly newsletter on that site. On Monday night, I attended the Prevention Coalition meeting. They're in the works of planning their sticker shock event and the Walk for Hope this spring. Last night, I attended the Historic Prevention meeting, Historic Preservation meeting. They are looking into adding a historical sign at the Ice House located on Wanacue Ave, which is like behind Wanacue Ave, and to put signage on the front fence and then behind it. They found kids hanging out down there and not really realizing it's a historical site, so we discussed that last night to properly sign it, so.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. On the street, you're talking about on the sidewalk?
Yeah, like on the sidewalk, on
Yeah.
the fence there, and then when you look down, or if you cut in the other way, there will be another sign there to say like, this is a historical place, so. Where was I? And then unfortunately, last night's recreation meeting was canceled. However, they still want me to announce a number of events, so here we go. All right, the Pompton Lakes Recreation is holding a field hockey clinic from March 23rd to the 27th, from 7 to 8:30 at night on the turf or in Lakeside Gym, depending on weather conditions. The clinic is for 1st through 8th graders. Pompton Lakes Recreation is also holding a softball clinic from March 16th to the 19th from 7 to 8:30 on the turf and in Lakeside Gym. The clinic is for, again, 1st through 8th graders. On March 3rd, there will be an inclusive resource fair in the high school gymnasium from 5:30 to 7. Again, a reminder that the walking club is moved indoors at Lakeside Middle School on Tuesday and Thursday nights from 7 to 8. It is free of charge. Women's Get Fit is every Monday and Wednesday night from 7 to 8 at Lincoln School. Pickleball is every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 at Lincoln School. The Pompton Lakes local PBA 161 is hosting a 5K run walk on June 6th. Registration begins at 8. The run starts at 9. The Easter egg hunt is March 28th. Again, a little different from the calendar at Hirschfield Tennis Courts. The hunt begins at 2 o'clock, and please bring your own basket. Breakfast with the Easter Bunny is Saturday, March 21st from 9 to 11 at Lakeside Middle School. Seating is limited. No tickets will be sold at the door. And this Friday night, the Elks is hosting a taco night from 5 to 7:30 or until food runs out. And that is my report.
Well, that's a big F right there. Okay, thank you. One thing I forgot to mention in my report, I met with the fire department today. They will be having a festival on August 22nd, recognizing their 125th year of operation here in Pompton Lakes. It also corresponds with the 250-year anniversary of our country. So there will be a kind of like a wet down without the water part, with food and fire trucks and things, and more to follow on that. They are selling tickets for a fireman's dinner, beefsteak to offset the costs on that. So if anybody's interested in that, just reach out to any fireman you know, or give a call out to the fire department, leave a message, and they'll get back to you. Okay, Councilman Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. Fortunately, I was up fairly well yesterday and did not attend the board of adjustment committee, so I do not have a report for that.
Yeah, I have it.
But I just want to recognize, I believe his name was Joe Roberts from the Pompton Lakes Fire Department. He was riding around in a quad with a plow attached and a snow blower on the back. And he was driving around just checking on residents to see if they needed any help. And, given the weather, he was just going around, just checking on everybody. So kudos to those guys as well.
Good. That's it?
Yes, that's okay.
Just an update, because I was at the zoning board meeting last night. It was a long meeting, and they decided that there's a house across from the fire department that it's in a business zone. They came to the zoning board to have it adjusted to a residential zone, which the zoning board did agree to, and they'll be putting in a couple of apartments that are not changing the house. It's a historic house. The house is 115 years old, and they're having a problem selling that property as a business. So they want to make it residential. The outside of the house will stay the same, and they're going to add 2 or 3, or maybe, I think it was 5 apartments, I don't remember the number, inside without changing the outside. So that's what happened at the zoning board meeting. Councilman Hinton.
Thank you, Mayor. I also attended the finance meeting.
Oh, I forgot those minutes.
Councilman Bennett, and listen, it's the first time I've been on finances since I've been a councilman, and it's not Christmas. We have to cut back for a lot of the departments on a lot of their requests. We're trying to keep the taxes as low as we can. The mayor has stated previously that yes, when vehicles need to be replaced, we need to replace them, and I agree with him 100%. But we just can't get multiple vehicles. We have to really watch the budget. We have to watch the taxes on the taxpayer. And so we're working as hard as we can to keep it as low as we can. But there's a lot of expenses that are coming up, and we have to address them. I had a seniors meeting. Everybody's happy at the seniors.
Good.
And we talked about it. I announced to them that our new chief, Chief Rodriguez, said he would like to attend the next meeting of the seniors to introduce himself and to ask any questions. And I would like to invite you also, Mayor, if you would like to come with the
I don't
chief.
have to be a senior. Do I have to go to be a senior?
You don't have to be a senior to be there. You just have to be the mayor.
All right. Okay. I'll go as the mayor, not as a senior.
That is March 5th at 12 o'clock. So, I mean, you're invited if you want to
Sure,
come with
I'll
the
be there.
chief. We'd love to have you. Let's see, we had a meeting with, down at DPW with Senator Panaccio today. And hopefully he can bring some funds into the town to replace the DPW garage. It's in sorry shape, and it's been needing for a long time, but really needs to be replaced now. And we're really trying to address it. So we welcome the senator and whatever help he can bring to our town to do that, we'd really appreciate it. We thank him for being there today. Him and his assistant.
Chief of staff, yeah.
Okay. So also I noticed during the storm, I think it was the fire department, maybe OEM could say, but they were out cleaning fire hydrants. And I had brought it up at the last storm, and I talked to the MUA. It was recommended I call the MUA, and they came right out and cleared a couple of fire hydrants that I had pointed out. And I think in this storm, the fire department was out, and they did a good job.
And I can tell you, our clerk reached out to the Boy Scouts, and they did respond, and they would be they were going to jump on the fact of helping them. What we need to work out with the departments is to identify the hydrants, so they know where to go. Because they wouldn't know, but they've been more than willing to help us with that.
All right, and I brought it up at the last meeting for Councilman Santos, if you can bring it up at the MUA, about putting flags on the rest of the fire hydrants that don't have them. Maybe that's in his report, so we'll see. And that's all I have, thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Hinton, for reminding me. We met with Senator Panaccio today, who is, our representative here. He came down to take a look at our DPW building. I give him great kudos for coming down, taking the trip to look at our building. Look, the way this works politically is you have to get the money from the top. It comes from the governor's office, it comes from the assembly, it comes from the Senate. So we have to ask for this money. This is not a cheap proposition to replace this building. This is millions and millions of dollars of replacement costs here. The building is very old. It needs to be replaced. Any assistance we can get from anywhere, federally, county, or state, we're going to take advantage of it. And we've been working very hard with Michael and the administration and myself, making calls to get anybody who will listen to come down and take a look. Senator Panaccio is the first to come down and look, and he has said he's going to push as hard as he can from his position at the state level to try to get us some funding. We will be inviting, hopefully, the governor or the governor's aide to come down and maybe take a look at the building to see, because at the end of the day, the building's in rough shape, and it has nothing to do with the fact except that it's a very old building. I mean, our engineers have looked at it, and it's just an old building. So Councilman Hinton and myself met with them today, and I thank them for coming, so thank you for reminding me. Councilman Santers.
Thank you, Mayor. I did attend the special meeting for the planning board last night, and as Attorney Seminara said, he said everything what happened in the meeting last night. So basically, we adopted what we needed to do to get up to our obligation for the state code. I attended the MUA meeting today, and on April 20th, 2026, the Pompton Lakes Borough Municipal Utilities Authority will conduct its spring hydrant flushing program. The hydrants will be flushed between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. to cause least inconvenience to their customers. Please note that any discoloration of the water or drop in the water pressure can happen during this time. If you do have discoloration, just run your cold water until the discoloration disappears. If you have any questions, reach out to the MUA, 551-427-7375. Also, I did mention to them about the hydrants with the markers, and they do have markers. They had a certain amount set aside a year that they were putting out, but they will put more markers out when the weather gets better. Also, I mentioned to them about the smell over the weekend, and here again, they said if you have any problems with the smell, please reach out to them, and not to Borough Hall, reach out to the MUA, and they'll come out and they'll assess the smell. So they really didn't have any answers for why the smell was so bad. And Steve and I attended this weekend orientation for newly elected officials. It was a full-day seminar. It went over how to deal with the business administrator, your clerks. It went over understand public purchasing, So it was a full-day event. I think Steve and I took a lot out of it and was well attended. I say there was probably 200 people there.
Yeah, probably about 200.
Yeah. And that is my report.
Yeah, that's a good class. You learn a lot there, especially for
Yes.
someone coming in new. It's a good educational class on how things work there. Unfortunately, and the administrator knows this, I know it's not in his report, but I'm going to bring it up again. I do get calls on the smell from the MUA. That this has been an ongoing problem. It's not all the time. It seems to be when we have a cold snap and then the warm weather hits, temperature inversion, I don't know what you want to call it. I've been asked by residents to come down and smell it. I did smell it. We have reached out numerous times to the MUA. They gave the same answer they gave to Councilman Sanders. We'll address it if we see something, but they don't see an issue with it. There is something there. I'm just telling you there is something there, and we've got to get to the bottom of it because it's not fair to the residents, and it's not just around the plant there. It permeates into the south side. You know, sometimes I can even smell it up by me on the north side. So it's something going on. We need to get to the bottom of it. It's a relatively new thing. It has, for years, we never had an issue with it. In the last 3 years, we've had an issue with it. So I think we're going to set up another meeting, right, Mike? And try to talk to them again and see if we can get a little bit more information on what it is. But we're listening. Understand, though, the MUA is independent of us. We don't control the MUA. But we do want to get to the bottom of why it is what it is. Okay, attorney's report. Report?
Nothing public,
Okay.
for public consumption.
For public consumption. Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Following up on tonight's agenda, I would like to recognize our building inspector, Walter DiCristina, who has retired from the borough effective March 1st. So on tonight's agenda, we did hire a gentleman, Michael Rossi, of the Township of Wayne, as the replacement building inspector. Mr. Rossi is going to begin early next week for training with Mr. DiCristina and begin his role next week. So we welcome him and thank Walter for his service to the borough. As a reminder, it wasn't mentioned before, we do have a budget workshop meeting on Wednesday, March 4th at 5:30 p.m. here at the Borough Hall, so we look forward to that. And the budget spreadsheet and meeting materials will be sent to the council early next week. Echoing the mayor's remarks, again, wanted to thank Senator Panaccio, the mayor, Councilman Hinton, and all of our staff members for attending a site visit at the DPW garage earlier this morning. For the governing body that might not be aware, we are working with our state and federal legislators for replacement costs of the facility. To date, the cost of the project stands at $9 million. So we are working on federal and state budget appropriations. Again, on tonight's agenda, we did have a resolution authorizing a grant submittal to Congresswoman Poe and her office through the congressionally directed earmark spending program through our federal legislators. So we are working towards getting funding for the project. And, you know, if anyone happens to run into any of your state or federal legislators, please mention it to them. And, you know, I thank the mayor and everyone for their work on that. Lastly, just wanted to recap, we did hear from the Borough of Oakland. They did formally adopt the shared services agreement for solid waste recycling and vegetative waste collection services at their February 24th council meeting. Again, the agreement will be in effect from July 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2030. As a result, the borough issued a press release earlier this morning on our social media channels, and we will have a frequently asked questions document coming in the next few weeks on social media, so we are working on that. Just to answer some questions that have come up through the public, again, the Borough of Pompton Lakes, consistent with all shared service agreements, will charge the Borough of Oakland a service fee. This fee is structured to fully cover all direct costs with built-in escalations to account for operational expenses and capital equipment needs. There will be no reduction or loss of services for Pompton Lakes residents. Additionally, because Oakland residents currently receive seasonal curbside grass collection, we are working towards ultimately implementing a similar service for Pompton Lakes residents as soon as practicable. Should anyone have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to call my office, and I'd be happy to talk with any resident that has any questions or concerns. And again, we're looking forward to the agreements, and we are working on implementation with the Borough of Oakland, and we will report back. Thank you.
So just, thank you for bringing that up. For Pompton Lakes residents, nothing is going to change with the way your garbage is picked up. Same day, same time, same people, everything stays the same. No loss of services, no loss of anything. If anything, once we get it moving, you're going to get your, which I've actually fought for 17 years, is to have the grass picked up again. We will now be picking up grass from your home. Won't happen right away once we figure that out, but you'll be able to, we'll figure out it's going to go in a bag or it's going to go in a barrel, but we will come to your house and pick up the grass, because that is an offer that we're offering Oakland. So if we offer it to Oakland, then we have to offer it to our residents. So there will be no change of service to any Pompton Lakes residents.
I have one additional comment, sorry. So I see Mr. Popov here in the audience. I wanted to give an update. I've been working with our risk manager, Michael Murphy of Kai Insurance Partners. We did contact the JIF earlier this week and made contact with the director today. So we did escalate the claim, and we are working with the director. We have a call scheduled for tomorrow morning with our risk manager and with the JIF to review the claim further and answer any questions that the insurer may have. So we've been in contact with Mr. Popov and are really working on his behalf and hoping we have a practical resolution for everyone. So I thank Mr. Popov for his patience and for his work, and we assure him we'll have an answer for him tomorrow with further updates. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the administration?
No.
No? Okay, Chief, your report.
Yeah, so I'd like to say, during the storm, great communication between all departments, worked together really well, made things easier when issues or concerns came about. To the men of the police department, all these guys were placed on recall, which means they have to be ready to come in at a moment's notice if they were off, if we needed the manpower. Luckily, we didn't have to call anybody in, but all time off and things like that were canceled. So we had full shifts, dispatchers, everybody did a great job throughout that storm and handled all the public safety issues that we had. Just to touch on some of the issues, there were some issues that arose on Midland Avenue. Obviously, it's a very tight street, a lot of cars. We were able to, I think we received some complaints that were reported, so we went out there. But we were able to clear it out with the extra cars. DPW was able to get in there and go curb to curb on that street. So it alleviated a lot of the issues. Obviously, it's a big two-family section, two-family home section, so you have a lot of cars that parked on the street. So with that snow out there, it would have been difficult to get a fire truck or any emergency vehicle through there. We ended up having to tow one vehicle out of there because it just couldn't stay with the snow. It had to come out. I know there's some other issues around town with parked vehicles. We are addressing them. At the moment, the ones that I've come across have been brought to my attention. I don't feel it's a hazard as the vehicle is there. We are trying to get in touch with the homeowner to maybe dig it out. They have been issued summonses, so we'll be following up on them in the coming days. As for on February 27th, this Friday, the police department will be hosting a breakfast to honor all our crossing guards, for their continued dedication, to the town, protecting, all our kids. They definitely play a critical role in school safety. So invite you all to attend if you wanna come out Friday morning. Also, in the coming weeks, I will be meeting with all our religious leaders, and then, as Councilman Hinton said, I'll be meeting with members of the senior community. Once I narrow down some of the dates for the village leaders, I'll send that out, Mayor, to you. If any of you also want to attend, happy to come out and attend that meeting. And again, that's all I got.
All right, so I think the only question I'll ask you is, now that we're 2 or 3 days past the storm, I guess someone should take a look at the sidewalks in downtown. Someone hasn't plowed the sidewalks, then they have to be summoned on that. I think what I can see is there's some vacant stores, so maybe those weren't done, so, the landlords would have to be contacted on those to do that. But, look, this last storm, not this last storm, the storm before that, we cleaned down the downtown and we got rid of the snow and we did all those things with the help of Michael doing that. That was a costly proposition. It cost us, $30,000 or more just to do that one storm. We can't do that all the time, so I have to put some of the pressure on the store owners to make sure they're cleaning their sidewalks in front of their businesses. So if we can address that. Any questions for the chief?
One of those stores was Roth Cleaners. Now,
That we take care of. That will be ours.
that wasn't cleaned. I saw that wasn't shown.
Well, I know Dan is aware of that because that one is something we have to take care of that.
All right. Questions for the chief?
Okay, yeah.
Hi, chief.
Or, Councilman.
Broad Street. We know that Broad Street is a county road. But I live on Montclair, so I go up Broad a lot of times. What's happening is those two apartment buildings, one on Ringwood Ave and Broad, then the next smaller one up from that, those guys are plowing their parking lots and plowing the snow right across Broad Street and piling it up in the street. Now, Broad Street, if you go there now or tonight after the meeting, half of the road is blocked. Now, we understand that we're requested not to take our cars out of our driveways in a snowstorm and put them in the street and clean all the snow off our cars. To do that is nothing in comparison as to what these people are doing, plowing the entire parking lots out and leaving them in the street. Now, I brought it up to DPW. They said they can't issue a violation from that. That would have to be you, correct?
I mean, if they're creating a hazard.
The street is half blocked.
I saw where you're talking about, where the big mound of snow is. A resident actually brought it to my attention as well. For us to issue a summons, we would have to be there when they're pushing it out. We'd have to witness it. We'd have to see it. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's pretty much, I would say, unless we're in the right place at the right time, there's really nowhere to enforce it as being a statute.
But I'm going to say, either our administrator or you should at least make a call to the management company to let them know we're aware of this, and if we catch you doing it, you will be fined.
Yes, that's absolutely. I think what is, definitely make that call. Just the reality of it, when we do, they're gonna, just so you're aware, they're gonna give the excuse of, oh, we hired, we don't know who it is. I'm not saying that. The bottom line is we have to get the road cleared.
The road is blocked now.
Exactly. So I don't know. Is the DPW taking care of clearing that mound?
It's a county road. I don't know. That's up to the
It's
mayor or the administrator.
theoretically a county road, but I'm going to have Michael reach out to Dan tomorrow to see what he can do to help us in that situation. The county, I'm sure, will not come back running right out to do it. Our guys, if our equipment can move it, probably have the best availability to do it, so we can move it. I think it's more important, though, that we make the management company, and I agree, they're going to blame the plowers. We don't care about who they're blaming. We're going to blame you if they're doing it. So they have to be made aware they got to find a place on their property for their snow. And granted, this is a crazy snowstorm. I mean, this is not a normal snowstorm, but they got to figure it out. That's, every other person does it. They got to figure it out.
The aspect of Broad Street, as you know, and we all know, it's a county road, but it also goes to the quarry. So now that the road is half blocked, and then the auto body parks when he can after the storm, parks his cars on the street. Now and then the dump trucks coming out of the quarry. It's a major problem. That snow should not be there. Whatever we can work out with Dan.
So I'll have Michael, he'll get back to us on, he'll figure that out.
Also, you talked about Midland Avenue. There was a car that you did tow.
Yes.
That, the term I was brought to my attention is persistent violators. There's still the Cadillac on Grant Avenue that was there when the last storm, and now it's still there, it's plowed in. There's one on Albany that you might be aware of that's plowed in. Persistent violators, we need to tow these vehicles.
Yeah, so I don't know, they might be persistent violators. Um, I'm not inclined to have my guys tow a vehicle unless it causes an obstruction in the roadway or a public safety hazard. They'll be issued a ticket. The reason why we made the decision, I went on site on Midland Ave for that car, is like I said, the street was so tight and there was a number of cars there. If we left the car there and the DPW wasn't able to plow, it just it constricts the street even more. On Grant Ave, the street might, yeah, I don't think it's as narrow as Midland Ave, and plus you don't, in my opinion, you don't have the number of cars for the two-family section.
Midland Ave, that section between Willard and Broad Street, there's a lot of two-family houses.
Correct.
There's so many more people on that street. I agree with you on that. But still, what happens is when people leave their cars there, the neighbors see that they left them there. They don't know that they got a ticket, and then they just start violating the law.
Yeah.
And
The reason.
DPW shouldn't have to have his guys, for all the work that they did, almost around the clock that they were plowing, they had to stay later for the police to clear the road so that they could plow the road. Now, initially, those cars should have been gone, whereas DPW didn't have to stay longer to do their job.
Well, I think if the police department was notified about the situation when they first plowed the roadway, we would have went early in the morning and dealt with the situation. It was only brought to my attention, I think because a resident, stopped the OEM and then they put it over the radio.
Right, so the chain of command is going to be the DPW would reach out to the police department.
Yeah, so
or the administration. We're not going to reach out, the resident isn't going to reach out directly to the police. It's going to come from somewhere, and then the chief is going to make a determination from his side on what has to happen at that point. Is it ticketed, has it been ticketed numerous times, is it in the way, it's not in the way, that's going to be a chief call. We're not going to be telling him how that's going to happen. So if he determines it should be moved, then they're going to move it. If he determines people can get around it, that's his determination.
And then just to take into account, just to explain a little bit further on that, there's a number, so it's not just you tow the car and it goes to our tow company, you tow the car. The person's already getting a ticket. Then when it gets to the yard, Malenga's is also going to start charging a storage fee, and it could be hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. The way I look at it is that if there's no obstruction to the roadway and it's not, I understand it's a nuisance, but they are getting a summons, and they are receiving a summons for that infraction. So by taking the car, I feel like there just needs to be there's got to be a further reason for it. There's got to be some type of explanation why I'm towing it. I just don't want to tow the car because there's snow on the ground. Because theoretically, if the way the ordinance is, the ordinance does allow to ticket and tow. But then where's the gauge? Are we towing? Are we just going to ticket and tow all the vehicles that are in town? So I feel like there's got to be a public safety hazard, obstruction to the roadway, where it's giving me cause to take that extra step of taking someone's vehicle.
Traffic-wise, it's an obstruction to the roadway, and you made that judgment.
Yeah.
On Midland Ave, it's a narrower street, Grant Ave, it may not. But the aspect of the vehicle being there and getting plowed in, all the roads have a crown to them.
Yep.
And in that crown, that's for drainage.
Great.
So now, that car is there on Grant Avenue from the first storm, it was there from the second storm. Now if we get a heat wave and you're getting melt and you're getting drainage, that car and that snow there is blocking the drainage for Grant Avenue.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to get around, it's not blocking the drainage.
Well, it's a big pile of snow around both sides of the car. This is why we try to plow curb to curb.
100%.
So that when you do have a melt, now the roads will drain properly.
So my officers did go there during the first
I
storm.
was going to ask about that. Did they?
We went there, we knocked on the door. I'm almost 100% positive that's the issue where the person is
Elderly, right?
no, they're just not available they're not around. There's some specific stuff that I just don't want to put out in the public, but the person, they're just not available and they don't have the keys. So we asked them to clear the car. He said he was going to. If the car's not cleared of the snow, at least dug out, I'll be more than happy to send someone over there to take care of that. There's also another trailer that I've been dealing with on Beach Ave East. I think some of you also sent some emails in regard to it, or residents sent some emails regarding to Sal. So that is a trailer, but it's not a commercial trailer, it's a private trailer. It's a big trailer. I actually personally stopped at the residence yesterday, knocked on the door, no answer, because the trailer is completely, there's snow all around it. So it's got to be dug out, and he's got to, this is probably like
And has that been
like
ticketed?
3 or 4 times, yeah.
Okay,
3
so
or
it's
4
been
times.
ticketed, as long as, so, just so the council's aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, they get a ticket, they get a summons, they take care of it. If it still happens, they get another summons on the same property, that ticket goes higher, right? The cost, depending on the,
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if one of my officers see it in the morning and give it a ticket, and then it's still there at night, and they're still plowing, they're gonna give it another ticket.
Right.
Next day.
and I think we need to
another
do
ticket.
that. I think we should definitely do that.
Yes, and we have.
I understand, I don't want to say that we care about the cost that they're paying, but at the end of the day, we should give every opportunity to get the car out of the way, pay the summons, and make them understand, more importantly, you can't do this, you got to leave your car off the streets during snowstorms. Now, if there's circumstances that, for one person, maybe there's some way we can help them and get the car on the property, I'm okay with that until they figure out what their issue is. But if we have outright people saying, I'm just not going to do it, I say we ticket to the end, keep going.
Yes, absolutely. And then you don't know if this vehicle is, that could be somebody's lifeline, their livelihood, so that they can feed their family, get to their work, get to their job. It's almost like when somebody gets a DWI now, depending on what happens with that, they're not always taking that car for that 6 months anymore like they used to, because they see that that vehicle could be someone's lifeline to feed their family so they can get to work.
Yeah.
So I really want to, it's a tool, but it should really be used in a situation that warrants it.
All right, and like I said from the beginning, we were talking about some certain instances. For the most part, most of the residents did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, the streets were good. I was out numerous times. I know, Al was out checking, so the streets, everybody seemed to do their part really well this time.
Okay, any other questions for the chief?
Well, I just want to make a statement. We're not here to punish residents. But, I mean, persistent violators who constantly leave their vehicle out,
Yeah,
that has to be addressed.
absolutely.
I had another question on 19 Cannonball Road. Cannonball Road is no parking on either side all the way down. Now, some of the signs, I'll talk to Dan about it, and you can too, Mayor, or the administrator. A lot of those no parking signs are so old and so faded that you can barely read them. But 19 Cannonball Road,
It's auto body shop?
the auto body shop,
It's been
he's
addressed.
constantly parking vehicles
It's been addressed, yeah.
up on the sidewalk, blocking the roadway.
Yeah, so we've been,
Okay.
I'm sorry, man.
Good, okay.
So we've been addressing this body shop now for, I would say, the last 4 different owners. The most recent one, he's been better than the rest, at least since my time here. But he does have a habit of having cars out on the sidewalk, out on the roadway, where he parks it into the adjacent property that's labeled borough property. We do go there, address it quite often. He always tells us that he's shuffling cars out. We have issued numerous summonses to him for either parking on the borough property when we've told him not to. This was escalated up to buildings. I know I received a report from John Lindbergh, who's in the buildings. He said that he went there to also address some of the concerns that I had, that this is probably part of the problem is because there's so many cars on there. He's almost using it as like a junkyard.
Violating the ordinance with too many vehicles.
Yeah, so that would be the police
And
department.
they have written them up on that.
Yes, so they went there and.
Okay, and I know Mike.
Yeah, a summons was issued earlier this week.
And look, again, if it's a repeat, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Hinton here, if it's a repeat offender and someone parking on the sidewalk, every time we drive by, just throw a ticket on him. He'll learn his lesson when he's paying thousands of dollars to get his car back.
Absolutely,
So, that's just what has to happen.
100%.
We're gonna try to work with you best you can, but if they're not working with us, then that's a different ballgame.
And our guys have been going over there. I know personally, Officer Eckers has gone over there numerous times, issued summonses over there, so,
Okay, anything else?
I got another 20, but
No,
that's
call him privately.
There is a car carrier parked on Ringwood by Carlisle, and it was plowed in this past snowstorm. It's been there for about 3 weeks
A
now.
car carrier with cars on it?
Carrier, yeah, it probably holds about,
But there's actual cars on it?
no, no.
Oh, no, it's just an empty car.
Yeah,
Where is it, Ringwood and,
right down by Carlisle.
okay.
But yeah, it's there every night, and during this snowstorm it was plowed in, so, you know, it's a big vehicle.
Well, that's a separate ordinance if it's over our tonnage, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's probably a 80,000 pound.
Oh, so then
Yeah, you can't park
park
overnight,
that
and then,
overnight,
it's, yeah, I could check to see if it was issued any summonses.
Okay. Any other questions? No, okay, thank you. Workshop?
Thank you, Mayor. So in tonight's meeting packet, you have a letter from the County Passaic Engineering Office. So again, it's that time of year where the county reaches out to its prospective municipalities seeking input and guidance on their road resurfacing program. So I do have a letter from Passaic County. First point is that as requested 2 years ago from the borough, the county is going to be paving in 2026 Hamburg Turnpike from Wanacue Ave intersection to Terhune Drive. So that's good news for Pompton Lakes. That stretch of road is in bad shape, and we thank the county for their partnership on that. So again, part of tonight's discussion, you have an email from the borough engineer. Again, the county's looking for either roads and/or projects that they would consider for the FY 2027 road program, which would be for next year. So the borough engineer did write back to us. They suggested looking at stormwater drainage on Ramapo Ave at Riverview Road. It's been reported to us that there was a surcharge of water from the December 19th rain event. So that's a suggestion. And then as part of the Passaic County program for this year, the borough engineer is suggesting that the county perhaps takes a fresh look at the monument intersection at Wanacue and Hamburg to see if there's any pedestrian safety improvements that can be made. And then the third recommendation in speaking with DPW is, as requested last year, is to resurface Cannonball Road. That road's in bad shape. So we are putting in a request for Cannonball Road, but we are seeking additional roads and/or input from you before we go ahead and submit our letter to them. So if there's any
We're
questions
talking
or
about county
comments.
roads now, just so everybody understands
Correct.
county roads. The only thing I would suggest at the monument, I think what needs to be done there is, and maybe the county has a better way to do this, an identification to use your blinker. I mean, that's an important process at that monument, right? Because if people are not using your blinker and they're making the left or they're going straight, it can cause an accident. We've had numerous accidents at that monument because of that. I don't know if that's a flashing sign. I don't know if we actually have a sign, I think. Don't we, do we have a sign there?
There's a sign.
Yeah, there is a sign. But maybe make it more identifiable. You know, that would be the only thing I can think of there. Countywide, I'll leave it up to our engineers to, you know, take a ride around it, or Dan, and say, hey, look, we need to do this, this, or this. I mean, if you guys have it, driving around and see a county road, you know, reach out to Mike. Okay.
Okay, so to clarify, we're going to be submitting for the full stretch of Cannonball Road
Yeah, which is,
to the end. I know there was comments about where do you cut off.
well, where is the end? Is it the
Right, so
gate?
that's what we're going to figure out. In addition to the intersection and to Ramapo Ave at Riverview Road with the stormwater. So we will submit a letter, copy all of you, and if you come across anything else, let me know.
So that's a good point. The Cannonball Road, when it runs into the DuPont property there, when does it become DuPont Road? You know, part of the DuPont property.
Do you know that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Look at the borough map on the website.
It might be
You'll
after
see the
Valbruna.
line.
There is an actual line?
The property line is right there, and once you go past that road, it becomes DuPont.
All right, so
Where
then,
it's all potholed and really in bad shape.
right,
it's
that's in bad
DuPont.
shape on that side.
Is it after Valbruna or before
It's
Valbruna?
after, no, well before.
Yeah, it's got to be well up right into
It's
the
right
condominiums,
past
right?
the Mountainside Drive, driveway, pretty much, a couple hundred feet, there's a fence.
Well, no, they own the road in front of the fence too, I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah. If you look on the map, you'll see.
Yeah, okay, so let's take a look.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Second.
Councilman Begg and Councilman Santers, was that who it was? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
It doesn't show the road.
Okay, anybody from the public like to address?
Maybe right there.
No, that's a.
John from Mountainside Drive again. Just wanted to let Anthony know that body shop on Cannonball, it's a daily occurrence. Blocking the sidewalks, parking 6, 8 cars all along the stretch of the roadway. Majority of them have no inspection stickers, no license plates on them. So who knows what kind of cars they are. They're all beat up jalopies waiting for a big truck like the other gentleman, Mr. Sanders stated. One of those big like 8, 12 size trucks to come and put it on the lift and haul them away. It's been a problem every day. And again, people can't walk on the sidewalks because 3/4 of the car is on the sidewalk on most days. And it's a daily occurrence. So if something can be done, that'd be great. I brought it up to a couple officers if they could go and check it out. They were parking in that little patch there, but now there's a cone with a sign that says no permission to park in that area, which is great, but their overflow is just unbelievable. Anything you do, greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
Good evening. George Popov, 1104 Colfax Avenue. I'd like to thank Mike Corelli for the communications as far as how things are progressing, and I do hear from him tomorrow, see how this meeting goes. However, the big thing that I learned over the holidays through a social meeting with Hauser Engineering is that 1102 Colfax Avenue, where the pipe is, there have been no plans developed, no engineering drawings, just contractors coming in. I don't believe that the building office here in the borough will ever issue a building permit unless the proper studies are done by competent professionals. And I'd like some better coordination because I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
If the owner of that property does not want to do the repairs, then the borough has to step back, because if we cut into the wall that is combined on both properties, the property at 1102 could fall into the lake. That's really going to be a problem. So that means that regardless of what financial settlements Mr. Corelli is able to do, everything's going to change. I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to touch anything unless it's properly documented and we really know what the hell we're doing. It's not a simple project. I'm sure Mike will agree with that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Mr. Vogt?
Mayor and Council, good evening. Al Evangelista, Emergency Management Coordinator. I would like to make a few quick remarks because our people in town did an excellent job. And when I say people in town, I mean the residents with their compliance with the overnight parking. It was awesome. I did a windshield survey that night at about 11:30, and I drove around just about every street in this town. And I think I counted about 10 cars on the different streets. Now, there may have been cars that parked there after midnight, people coming home from work, I don't know. But I think at one point in the morning, I asked about summonses issued. At that point, there were 29 that were issued that I knew of. But the people were great, the residents as a whole were terrific. And from our first storm, we picked up on the Facebook site for OEM 308 followers. And I put that on there. So people, are taking advantage of our social media information that we get out. We had the 9 reverse notification call that went out. And, we put out over 1,200 calls on that system, which is good. So as you know, the state of emergency was declared on Sunday at 12. The governor just rescinded it today at 6 p.m. All right, so we're now out of that state of emergency. Now the work begins with the recovery costs. So I sent information to our administrator, Mr. Corelli. There's going to be a lot of compilation that's necessary on the part of all the borough entities, police, fire, EMS, DPW. It even extends to the public schools, so I notified our superintendent, notified Windsor School because it covers privates as well. Spoke to St. Mary's because, as you know, that is our shelter. We have a memorandum of agreement with them, an MOU, for that shelter and that parking lot. So we're going to try to submit some of the costs for clearing that parking lot because, as you know, the CERT team was activated on standby. They were ready to establish a shelter there, and we did have to clear that lot and make sure that we had places for people to go and to park. So all of that stuff was done behind the scenes. People don't see that. You know, that takes place as a general rule. And, yeah, everybody just fell into line as far as their responsibilities in meeting them. Police, you know, the chief's idea of putting cars undercover, that was awesome. It got them out of the lot here, but at the same time, they were undercover and prepared. I know that fire was ready. They had the quad squad, which was started back in the 90s, and that was primarily because we had an incident on 287 with a very huge snowstorm, and we actually had cars up there stranded, and we had to go up and evacuate people from their cars. So the quads came in handy. We had a side-by-side that was parked in the firehouse. And these all belong to our members. They're private vehicles. You know, they're willing to put them forward for the good of the community, the safety of the public, and that worked out well. They did go out and shovel some hydrants. What our community has to understand, we have 350 hydrants in the borough of Pompton Lakes, and they're all approximately 300 feet apart. And they're usually on the same side of the street. So if one is on the right as you're going into the street, they're probably all going to be on the right. So if our residents know there's a hydrant there and they can't find it, that could be a reminder to them where that is. With the markers, we had started that in 2 phases. I think somebody mentioned it. Because of course they went out and they put half the markers on half the 350, and then they were supposed to follow up on it. I guess the weather got nice out. It went by everybody's memory and what happened, and it never got finished. But we'll make sure that that does get finished because it obviously comes in handy when it's needed. Our communication was seamless. I mean, we have a very interoperable communication system between everybody: police, fire, DPW. EMS, everybody. We're all on ultra-high band. We're all backed up by backup repeaters and backup transmitters. We got the generators in all our public buildings, which are serviced quarterly, as you may or may not know. So we're up to snuff on that. We know they're going to start when we need them. And now the school would be online, Lakeside School, with their generator. Spoke to Superintendent Amoroso. That's not done yet, but it is a backup for the Carnival Center because we do not have a generator there. We have a generator to bring in to power the building, but that's a manual thing that's got to take place. Hopefully we're getting the Civic Center outfit when that's done so that we'll be able to use that at least as a warming center because it's not big enough as a shelter. We have undergone training. Sharon, Sonny, our secretary, Dan Cottrell, our deputy coordinator, myself, with a new program the state police have called EMIT. Stands for the Emergency Management Mapping and Information Technology Program. What that does is a one site that we go into and log into, and we can declare our disaster on there, which we did, and we can rescind it on there, where before we had to type it out on paper, we had to scan it, we had to email it down to the county and so forth. So this has really streamlined the process. Also, if we need equipment that we don't have, that either the county or state may have, we enter it in there as a need, and they will query it, and then they will respond and say, we have it, here's where it's located, we'll get it to you. And ETAs, we talked about that the other day, and that's going to help the whole process. We used it for this storm to declare and now to rescind, and we have to do tests quarterly on that system. So it's not like it's out there and it's just forgotten about. The county and the state require testing on that, so there's a lot that goes with this whole process. Preparedness, you know, we have the gasoline depot, which is backed up by emergency generator with diesel and gas, so we're good in that situation. And some of our generators are natural gas, like the one at the first aid building, and that's one less thing to worry about. All our departments were well prepared, and thank you to this council and the councils before you for giving us the equipment that we need to handle the job. For example, I remember, I've been in this seat a long time with emergency management, and there was a time that we did not have the equipment to plow like we do now. And in the 95, 96 storms, we actually had problems because we couldn't get to our 129 streets in the borough of Pompton Lakes fast enough to help the residents out. And what the residents have to understand, and I'm saying this for the benefit of the council, is that in an extreme emergency, when you've got snow coming down 2 to 3 inches an hour, which they said was going to happen after midnight, and I think at some point it did, we just go around and plow one path on every street, just enough to get emergency vehicles down there, police, car, fire truck, or an ambulance, just one. So what happens, a lot of people see that, and they see it come by once, and the truck never comes back for a number, minutes or hours, and then they're like, well, they forgot about me. No, they didn't. We're trying to do all of the streets first with one lane so that we have access for emergencies. Then we'll go back and we'll start pushing it back. So the public has to understand that. They wouldn't know that unless we tell them. That's part of my reason for being up here tonight. We made contact with all agencies, like St. Mary's was on alert that we might have to use that as the shelter. So Phil, who lives right in town on Garden Road, he was at the ready. So we had that lined up, had all our hours, scripted. Fire department did the same thing. They had standby, and they had an alarm at the height of the storm there, and they were out of the firehouse in 3 minutes. And I think on scene in less than 5, which was remarkable. First aid squad as well. They had a couple calls. They had 2 crews to man the 2 ambulances, should they be needed. So kudos to all those people, all volunteers that, do what they have to do when the situation gets rough. The MUA was contacted, put them on notice, God forbid, a water main break, which we didn't have, but as you know, if you were watching the news, there were a lot of water main breaks around in various towns, and that's because of the freezing weather, right? The pipes become very brittle, and just traffic driving over that roadway can break that pipe. So we're very fortunate. Our MUA does do a good job on our water system. You keep it intact, you flush the hydrants twice a year, which relieves the sediment and keeps the valves operating on those hydrants. So we're in good shape there, and they do a good job as well. Plus, I don't know if you know this, some of the newer council people may not, but there were times that we actually called them to help us plow with their vehicles. They have plows on all their trucks. We had 14 plows out for the first storm and 12 for the second. That's remarkable for a small town like this. We had a lot of vehicles on the road. We had 2 loaders working, and then we had the sidewalk crews, I call them, going around doing all the corners and sidewalks. I'm almost finished. JCP&L reached out. As the mayor knows, we have a government contact, and they wanted to make sure that everything was good. We had no power outages. Again, another thing that really heightens the crisis. We were good on that, and they did come around the past couple of weeks trimming trees. I think people might have seen those trucks in the area. So they have become very proactive after Hurricane Irene. Okay, JCP&L really got on the ball after that. I commend them for that. They followed the incident command process. If you haven't been to their facility out in Morristown, but I went there, as a matter of fact, I got stuck in the elevator with Councilman Begg, not that Councilman Begg, but another Councilman Begg, because we had too many people in the elevator. There had to be 15 people in there, and we actually got stuck, but we got out. But anyway, that aside, the recovery now is a big part. Getting all these facts and figures, and we don't want to lose any money. We want to make sure that we get restitution for damaged equipment and so forth and so on. So I've urged all the people that I've spoken to get it to Michael as quickly as possible. There is a website that they can go to enter all this, and what it does is it totalizes as you go. And this is a brand new system as well. And in previous events, in previous years, we had to compile all that information on paper and then enter it at the end of the storm. So they didn't get their threshold for quite a while. Our threshold in Passaic County is about $2,400,000. So all the 16 towns now could go into this program, and it actually totalizes it's a running aggregate, if you will, so that we can find out as soon as we can make the threshold. Once we make the threshold, FEMA will declare it a disaster area, and then we will probably get funding from that. And that's what they're waiting to see right now. So that's the important part. I don't have anything else unless there's some questions, but thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Anyone else from the public would like to address?
Mayor, I just had one thing I forgot.
Sure.
I just wanted to take a quick second to address our police lobby. I don't know if any of you guys have been in there, but just recently, we had reflective tint installed in the lobby. And I just want to briefly explain that so you guys know the reason for it and then the public knows the reason for it. So the reason that the reflective tint was put in the lobby is so that members of the public can't see into our communication center. From the lobby, it was possible to view all our computer screens and security camera monitors. These screens contain confidential law enforcement information, and they also contain live security feeds. That visibility created a security and privacy issue that we needed to address. Definitely long overdue. From the inside, our dispatchers can clearly see and communicate with anybody that comes in the lobby. You will be looking at your reflection. So it's definitely a little odd or not what you're used to, especially in our lobby. This obviously prevents sensitive information from being visible from the outside. And this is actually a common practice that a lot of police departments in our area and around have gone to for just the very same reason that we do, that we have. So I certainly understand that the glass feels, less personal than it did before. But just unfortunately in this day and age and environment, the security considerations required us to make some adjustments like this. And, it's my responsibility to ensure the safety of our personnel and protect sensitive information and to maintain the security of the building. So that's why the decision was made to go with the reflective tint.
Is that a standard procedure now in most police departments to have that?
So it depends. I don't know if it's standard. It's very common. If you go to Riverdale, set up the same way. You go to Wayne, set up the same way. Haledon. It really depends on the setup, but that's really the common theme. It also depends on when the building was made and how the screens were. So Wanacue is a pretty up-to-date building, almost brand new in terms of buildings. So when they designed it where these monitors or these security screens, weren't visible, so that if you came up to a lobby window, you weren't seeing them.
I'm going to say this. I think, and I understand the reasons, and I understand what you're talking about, but it does make it a very impersonal conversation from the outside as a resident looking for help from a dispatcher or a police department to not see who they're talking to.
Absolutely, and just to clear.
So I would hope that somebody comes out.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that. So the role of the dispatcher is to talk to that person and immediately get them the services they need, and an officer will be coming out and addressing any concerns. The dispatcher is not there to address concerns of a resident who come in with a type of complaint. They're just there to take their name, information, what their complaint is, enter it into their computer, and notify that supervisor to come out and take the walk-in. So they will be able to see someone face to face. It's just unfortunate that this day and age and
no, I understand why
the
it's
stuff
just,
that's there.
if
like that.
I'm looking at it as if I was a new resident in town, don't know anybody, and I walk into a police department, I'm trying to get my story across, and I'm looking at a piece of glass and I can't see anything.
Yeah.
It makes it hard.
I mean, there's a lot of police departments too where you walk into the lobby and you're actually
talking to a machine.
you're picking up a phone.
Right. I understand.
And then telling them the issue. You don't even get to see anybody, and then somebody comes out as well.
All right, so we're aware of it. Thank you. Okay, nobody else? Okay, motion to close the public session.
Motion.
Councilman, who was that down there? Santers and second by Councilman Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, Ken, thank you for the comments. We are on top of that. We are working with that. That has been an ongoing situation over there. I got my building department working on it. I got the police department working on it. They cannot park on the sidewalk. It's that plain and simple. They get parking there, I'm sure we're just keep ticketing them. Mr. Popoff. So if I'm understanding, I'm going to ask Mike to jump in here, but our engineering is overseeing what we're doing down there. So is that property part of what you're looking at?
So to reiterate, we're coming in and filling the pipe and decommissioning
the existing easement pipe, at which point the property owner at 1102 will have some restoration claims as well after we come in and decommission that pipe. So we are in the process of working with the homeowner to identify the costs for the restoration, as we did with Mr. Popov, and are in the process of waiting for the snow to settle to come in and decommission the actual pipe. We did reach out to 1102 for some information. We are waiting to hear from him, but we'll follow up on that.
And this is all done by the engineers? This is not
Correct.
done by DPW or anybody else?
No,
This is done by
that's
the
correct.
engineers. Okay. So the engineers are aware of it, and they are taking care of it, and the property owner is gonna have his own claim to put in whatever he has to do, but that should, according to what the engineers are telling me, that should fix our problem.
I'd like to see some coordination
Yes.
between the two properties, because the engineer is not communicating anything.
Well, the engineer is not gonna communicate to you, he's gonna communicate to Michael, and then Michael will communicate.
We will schedule a field meeting,
Okay.
yes.
Al, thank you for all that good information. As always, OEM is on top of everything. I know, like I said, you know, we benefit from the years of experience that you have and other people. So, you know, over time, we see every obstacle that comes our way and we're able to handle it. And just the fact that we have such an active volunteer fire department and CERT department, these are all volunteer groups, makes a big difference. I talked to some mayors that are saying, sir, yeah, we sometimes have 3, 4 people. If I can make a call, I said, we have well over 50 that are sitting ready to go. So it's a big kudos for everybody involved, especially the volunteers. So thank you. And I think that's it. Okay. Okay, approach the floor. Any approach the floor?
I just want to say something that I forgot to mention before. Friday, I received a text message that our newest member that you need to swear in for the Shade Tree Commission, Caitlin O'Connor, she passed her test and received her ISA certified arborist. So here we have the newest volunteer for the Shade Tree Commission, and she's a certified arborist.
Good, that's
So we're
good.
very proud of her, and it'll be a benefit to our Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah, no doubt about
And
that.
if you can attend our next meeting,
Yeah.
March 9th,
Yeah, March
and swear
9th.
her in.
I think I'm away that weekend, but let me see. I'll get back.
Okay.
Any other approach the floor? No? Okay, motion, we have a closed session, correct?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn into closed session. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Councilman Benning, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Reduces the average.
Mike, the March 4th, budget, is that going to be a public meeting or we're just?
It is a public meeting, but we don't really get public.
well, he's
Like last time.
No,
I
no.
think
I mean,
10
that's a
months
good
of
question, though. I mean,
Just to be safe.
Liz, are we filming next Wednesday?
Okay.
In closed session, we discussed negotiation and personnel. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Councilman Benning, Councilman Hinton, all in favor?
Aye.
Again, thank you. All right, don't forget, we have the meeting on Wednesday. Oh, Mike, I wanted to ask you.